Hi, and welcome to our next episode of Free Your Mind. Today we've got Susan Fang as our guest speaker. She's an entrepreneur, a busy mum as well, and she's going to be discussing burnout. Susan, over to you first of all. Can you just explain a little bit about yourself, what it is that you do, and a little bit background on yourself as well?
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Vina and Manisha and Sabrina for this opportunity to be here today. I'm very, very happy. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Susan Fang. I'm the founder and director of Academic Powerhouse. So I'm Taiwanese originally, born in Taiwan, came to this country when I was quite little, and now I grew up in Britain. So what I do in my life is I actually mentor young students from the age of 14 onward, to help them clarify their goals, find their lifetime goals and calling, and assist them with their education planning to get into the schools and universities of their desire. So that's basically what I do. I also am a mom. I have two teenage daughters, aged 15 and 16. So you could have gathered in the past year of pandemic, during the lockdown, it was fairly busy at home. So as a mother, you have to work, and although I don't need to homeschool my girls, yet both of them were right in the crunch of GCSE and pre-A-level kind of stage. So it was a really busy time. So it was tough all round for everyone. So that's just a short shot on me.
Okay, brilliant. So in terms of what we're going to discuss today, in terms of burning out, first of all, let's start off with what is burning out? Should we define that first?
Sure. I take it quite spiritually, actually. There was one, I love art. And sometimes I collect art. So there was once I was actually at this alternative art show whereby majority of the artists, showcasing their art. They were up and coming artists, or even they were graduates. So I just so happened walking down the aisle, and I was drawn to this really sort of 60 by 60 piece of 3D art. And it was very, very simple. It was a square with a white background, but in the middle, it was a circle. From far away, you see it's just a round thing, a circle. But as you get closer, the circles were made out of burnt matchsticks. So there were matchsticks all around. I don't know how many there were, but there were many. And all the matchsticks had one similar common thing. They were all burnt, they were all used. And at the end, at the bottom of this painting, it says burnt out. And as I stood there, my tears just kept dropping, kept flowing down, because I felt it really resonated with me. That really symbolized how I felt at the time. It was probably about 6-7 years ago, while my kids were still young. One of them was trying for a senior school, so it was a very intensive, busy 11+ time. And at the time, in addition to my existing business, which is all to do with education, I was also starting up another venture to do with the hospitality. So I was burning, on both ends, and I was spreading myself thin. And that picture just made me feel like, okay, this is something I need to change about my life, because I literally am burnt out. And so to me, sorry for explaining so long, Vina, I believe burnt out means you have nothing to give. And literally, even if you're the energized bunny, you've run out of oil, you've run out of juice.
No, that describes it really well. And just what you mentioned, spreading yourself thin. Now, just I suppose it happens to anyone, and it can happen at any point. But what do you think? There's any signs that we can look for? Or certainly, in your experience, has there been any things to notice that you may be getting to that stage, or you're going there, or you've got there? I suppose we'll know when you get there, but just before you get there, have you come across any signs or things that you can look out for?
I think first of all, for all of us who have been locked down at home and working from home, if the sign is your home is no longer clean, I think that's a massive sign there's something wrong. You've got it so bad that you can't even clean your house. It's not just messy, but it's like dirty. Okay, you've got like mildew somewhere that you can't clean. So that's the first sign. It's quite external, and then it's visual. You will see it. Another thing I've noticed is that there was a time I guess it was at the beginning of the lockdown, because I was really trying to pile everything on top of each other, because I felt guilty. I felt guilty that I could not go to the office. I felt guilty that I wasn't able to do much because, let's be honest, all the students gone home, or majority of them are locked in school. What could I do? Yes, I was piling up all these Zoom meetings. And at the same time, we were learning, because, remember back in March and April, we were all newbies. Nobody knew how to operate Zoom and Teams. And there was a lot of, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, you're on mute, that kind of thing. Even though we're still doing that, I'm sure, yeah. So there was so much that we were trying to put on top of us. First, out of guilt, we were trying to say yes to all the meetings that has been requesting us, or say yes to all the trainings, because all of a sudden, all the marketing stuff, the events are turned online, and that there's that fear of missing out. So you were saying yes. I was saying yes, yes, yes to everything that came my way. And then suddenly, and on top of that, I'll have to learn. I have to pivot on top of technology, or learn all these new skills. So there was a time about April, this time last year, I felt that when I was going through these meetings, I literally was falling asleep. Even though I had eyes open, I could tell I wasn't paying attention. I was just frozen, and I was sleeping. And another thing is, I felt I was shaking my hands because I was drinking so much coffee. Okay, I mean, I guess that's a result of it, because I was tired, so I drank coffee, and I was still tired, drank more coffee, and that made me shake. So these are little bit of signs, thinking, I got to slow down. Otherwise I am burnt out, and I'm overstretching myself. So all these things you have to pick out and try to make a change. And as soon as you see this, you break away from it. You just stand up, you break the pattern, go out for a walk, or start, if you have a pet at home, stroking the pet. I find that really soothing. I don't have a pet, but we have a lot of stuffed toys. So I just go and grab another teddy, or, I just go and hug my daughter. That's the next best thing, isn't it? If you don't have a live animal at home, just hug someone. Yeah, and be still. And that could get me out of the zone quite quickly.
Susan, you started to answer the question already with what you can, when you get to that point of being extremely exhausted and burned out, on strategies. But is there anything else, any other top tips you might give people who are perhaps getting to that point of, pure exhaustion, that they just feel that's almost it, I can't do anymore?
I think there's one thing you need to do. Well, I found eventually I did, was you just have to accept you're not God, you're not Superman, you can't do everything. Just accept that we're just human, and sometimes we do have to rest, we do get ill, we get tired. And then once you accept that, you don't feel guilty. So there's that invisible strain that's out of the way. And then secondly, you really do take rest. And when I say take rest, it's you just go to sleep. For me, sleeping is the best. Cut off all social media, turn your phone off, not just to silence because it will still buzz, right? But turn it totally off, and have no alarm. Just go to sleep. Sleep as long as you need, because your body will tell you how much sleep you're deprived, and it will wake you up once you're all right. So that's my best remedy. Whenever I get so much out of it, I just go to sleep. I mean, Vina will vouch for that, because the other day, that's exactly what I did on Wednesday. The Hope afternoon, I was just like wiped out. So I just went to bed. Yeah. Sleep is the medicine to all ailments, in my opinion.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? That it's allow your body to tell you what you need. And I think I can imagine for many of us, like us included on the call, that you're just so busy, but it's almost like society's made it that way, that we're always on the go. Whether you have children or not, you're constantly on the go. So how do you find the time then, really? It's when you want to allow, like you're saying, you want to allow your body to tell you what you need. So, right, you're really tired and naturally you need sleep, but you've actually got to be up at 6 a.m. to go to work. And then you get home really late, and then your cycle just carries on. What do you do in that situation?
I get external help, because I know just relying on my own discipline or my own drive, it's not enough, because when you're in the go, you know, where you're doing things, you just get engrossed. I mean, I'm the kind of person, when I'm doing work or doing something, I do it intently and I don't see anything else. So I do need external intervention. And again, Vina would know, because I'm on Vina's step challenge. So every night I will have to pin her a photo of what I've done the whole day. And I use Apple. So on the Apple, I've got an Apple Watch. I'm sure many viewers, if you have an Apple Watch, you understand. You can set it to remind you to stand up every hour. And there is a goal. You know, I love a game. I gamify everything in my life. So I need to reach 12 in order to complete that circle. That means for the, you know, in a day, I need to stand up at least 12 times in 12 hours. And I hate it when I see there's a gap. That means I missed out. And then so the watch will actually buzz. You know, I switch off the ringtone, but it will buzz. I mean, it sounds really silly. You know, Apple Watch has been around for so many years, yeah. But I just find it, particularly this year, it's so important because we are always sat in front of Zoom. We are always at our desk. If you don't have this, then nobody's going to remind you. You're going to remind yourself because you feel like you're doing the work. You're already working so hard. Why bother to stand up? So external help is very, very useful. Yeah. Another thing I do is, apart from that, standing up, I have a, if you bear with me, I get it over here. So I have a timer. So I'm all about using tools, okay? This is a 20-minute timer. It's brightly colored. So sometimes I put it right in front of me so I won't miss it. And I'll set it up. If I do a task, I set it up. Yeah, I set it, you know, and let it drop. So every 20 minutes, you know, this is what we call the the Pomodoro way. Yeah, each task, you do it for 20 minutes. You do it very, very focusedly and intensely. And after 20 minutes, you stop. You have a break. You clear your mind. And you decide whether you want to carry on or you have already completed. So anything that's more than 20 minutes, you should try to compartmentalize it and either say, that's enough, I've done enough of it, or you try to do it in another go. So that things become, you know, suddenly when you look at a piece of work, it's that much, you think, oh my God, it's overwhelmingly huge, I can't do it. But if you break it down into pieces, suddenly it becomes manageable. It's like eating food as well. If somebody gives you a huge cabbage, you're not going to eat it at once. But if you cut it into bits and pieces, then take it bit by bit, that's all right. Yeah. So external help. And then I come to people like Vina. You know, I know I'm stressed. You know, I actually shared with her, you know, I'm dressed like this because I know you guys are all very sporty, so I want to be part of the gang. Prior to COVID, I was running half marathons every weekends. So my goal was to reach 100 half marathons. And this, you know, this is a 100, there we go, half marathon club. Not sure you can see it. So before COVID, I was on number 76. I had 24 to go and then I can reach 100. But COVID hit, so I had to stop because only real races, no virtuals. It's got to be a live race with more than 15 people participating. And then by the end of it, you get a medal. Yeah, only that will count. So I am now forever stuck on number 76 until the races return. Yeah, so I told Vina that, oh my God, I'm so stuck because that was my motivation to get out there to really train. And plus you can eat, you know, very good because while you're training, you're always hungry. So you eat, but it kind of balances out. So I needed someone to really push me and Vina really helped me. She helped me. She was there. She was like that external voice saying, come on now, you know, get your steps in, do the work, do the job. And she does it in such a lovely way that I don't have to feel self-conscious. You know, I could just do it. So that she's my external help as well. I think without her, I would be even more burnt out.
Susan, can I just jump in there? Sorry. Yeah, so obviously you said that you're speaking to Vina, which is great. So what other sort of external help could you get? I know, Vina, you know, you mentioned the steps and other things that you may be working on. But what other external help would you say is out there to help with sort of burnout and those sort of things that you're dealing with?
Okay, I mean, my line of work, yeah, it's very brain intense because, you know, I'm getting kids over the hurdle into really top universities and schools. If you think about in terms of schools, they're all fighting for, you know, the Westminster, the North London Collegiate School, or the Wycombe Abbey, you know, all that sort of top league. And in terms of universities, I deal with a lot of Oxbridge or the G5, Imperial, these are all UK, otherwise it's USA, the Ivies. So I'm dealing with really smart kids here. Now, when I'm coaching them, I am always giving out. And you imagine I'm like a glass of water, or no, I could be a huge bucket of water, yeah? And each time I give a glass away. Eventually the water's gonna deplete. I know for a fact that I am depleting myself, draining my energy. So of course I've got to fill myself up again. So what do? I have to keep learning, keep this knowledge flow flowing. Yeah, but sometimes you're just so tired, you don't want to read, right? What do you do? So you've got to have other ways to keep you going. So I listen to podcast, if that doesn't work, video, yeah. One thing I did was I purposely went out to seek like-minded people so I can bounce away my ideas. Because there was a very long time from March until even like throughout the summer. We briefly came out of lockdown last year, but we went back in, remember the lockdown number 2? And I felt really alone because I was only, working with my clients all on Zoom, and there was nobody else who I can interact and network. Because during the pre-COVID time, I was always out there, had an office in central London. I could see people. And then it's people of different background, people of different disciplines. So we are always, learning from each other and helping each other out. But COVID took away all of that. And even though we're on Zoom, you have one meeting, but after a meeting, you go on to the next. You're really just in that conversation. You're never really on top of it. So anyway, what I did was last November, I knew that I need to have a support group. I need to somehow be out there. So what did I do? I joined a networking group. I joined BNI. Okay, I don't know whether you guys know, BNI is Business Networking International. Is a global organization. And because of COVID, everything's turned on Zoom, yeah? But what you do is you actually sit in front of your computer and talk to many, many people. So it's one too many. So rather than just one-to-one on a sort of hourly basis level, you're talking suddenly, you're facing a lot of people. There's a lot of fun, a lot of jokes, banters, but you're always on a professional level, exchanging, business ideas and having really intellectual conversations. And I found that really helpful. Because again, it's about me taking the initiative to reach out and tell people, hey, I'm actually not okay. I need some help. I need some help here. Yeah. And it's really reassuring to know that there are other people like me outside, working really hard, 9 to 5. Well, actually, we're doing more than 9 to 5 now, aren't we? But all trying our best to survive, all trying our best to give back. And then we can have our own, network of supporting each other. So that's fantastic. So you just have to go out there to find your group of people, your gang of 4 and 5 and 6, and try to reach out. And another thing is, I found that in the last year, I suddenly became much more open to just hitting up people and calling them up on the phone, people I've not spoken for many, many times, scroll down my Insta, scroll down my Facebook, and just send a hello. How are you doing? Yeah, and people suddenly open up and they really appreciate it because this is just what caring's about, because we're so apart from one another. And just that phone call, just that hello, and just saying, how are you doing, really touched their heart. And by doing that, you're actually making someone feel better, and I feel better. Yeah, so that's a little bit of therapy for myself. Yeah, it's going a bit woo here now.
Can I pick up on, when you spoke about how you were training for the for your
marathons?
Yes, I was trying to think of the number there. Yeah, your marathons. How do you even, like, you've got so much going on. You've got a lot of responsibilities. As a parent as well. And how do you even prepare for that? And then it's like you've got loads.
In 2019, I was actually away from the country 14 times a year. Literally, I call these runcation. So I run away for a short vacation, and most of them in Europe. But I also did a couple in America. So there was a time, my 2 daughters, bless them, they actually said, "Mom, we feel like we really do feel like orphans over the weekend." Yeah. So I felt really bad when they said it. So in a way, it was a blessing, a mixed blessing when COVID happened, because I spend the longest time at home ever with my children, and they got to know me very well. Got to know them very well as well. We are so close. We're like this close. So I'm really grateful. So something good did come out of COVID was that with my family, we've grown so much closer. So nothing's going to take away from that. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen once we go back to races. I've already got 10 lined up at the end of May that Vina knows. I'm going to be doing 10 half marathons in 10 days. So purely working on the numbers now, because I really want to get this done before the end of December, so I can work on my next goal, which is 100 full marathons.
How do you prepare your body for the actual marathon?
Okay, I'm not your conventional marathon runner. I'm not slim, not slender at all. And I don't really go for time. Okay, so I'm much more of an endurance runner. So on an average marathon, my time is probably 5 hours, 30 minutes. That's probably my best time so far. Don't think I'm ever going to get that now, but I'll give it a try. Half marathon wise, 2 hours 15, 2 hours 30. That's my best time. So I'm not fast. But what I do is I feel like once I'm out there, no matter what sort of speed I'm doing, I'm a runner. Yeah. First of all, I'm a runner. It doesn't matter. And how do I prepare? I prevent a lot of injuries, because there was a time I was always spraining on my ankle, and I relied very much on a very good friend of mine who's a physio. So she helped support me. She told me how to run in the proper way and how to do stretches, warm up and cool down properly. Yeah, this is before I knew Vina, before I met her. So she taught me a lot of ways to prevent. Prevention measures, I find it much more important than actually treating the measures afterwards. So by using this right shoes, having the right equipment, you have to hydrate well, and you have to take some preventive measures, like if you have running stomach, that sort of thing, try to sort it out beforehand. So all of that really helps for me to enjoy the running while I'm at it. And as long as I'm enjoying it, I know I will improve again and again and again. So yeah. I'm not sure whether that was the answer you're looking for, or were you hoping me to say that, oh yeah, I go out and run 3 times a week, maybe a long run and a short one or a sprint? Not really. Basically, I just do it on the weekend. I just do it intensively. And if I do get a time during the weekday, I live in Stanmore, which is quite a hilly area. We have hills, and I just do that hill like up and down, up and down a couple of times, and that's it. Yeah.
No, it's great, because it just shows and gives inspiration for anybody. It means that what you're showing is for anybody. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to go and spend hours and hours preparing. It's, you can just run, and like you said, it's not about how long it takes. It's more about just having it in you, and the willpower, really, isn't it?
Having willpower to finish. Yes.
Yeah.
To finish. A lot of people just give up halfway. Yeah, the runs that I do, some of them are like 50 miles a day, and we call it, trail run. It is beautiful. Can you go up there, maybe in the Cotswolds, or in Winchester, which is South Downs, North Downs, very, very beautiful, but very, very tough. Yeah. So a lot of the hills you can't run on top. You just can't run. You have to walk it. And this is where you become. This is when humans show humility. You become so humble in front of the nature, because you know that you cannot run that hill. So you have to accept that this is what we're going to pay respect and walk it up. And while you walk it up, you soak it in and take it in, because it's just beautiful out there. And then you realize we are so lucky to be living on this place we call home, and we should really treat it with care. Yeah. So that's the feeling I get when I'm out there. I mean, I love a good trail run. So this year I was going to do all the race to races, race to the King, race to the Tower, race to the Stones, race to the Castle, all 4 down in June and July, back-to-back weekends. But I just received notice yesterday that one of them, the first one, was actually postponed again, because they just surely cannot do away the social distancing. And usually these races, like thousands of people attend. So yeah. We'll just have to see. Yeah.
You've you kind of almost answered my next question. Just going back to burnout, and in terms of when you're running a marathon, because I know from previous some of my clients that do marathon running, you kind of hit a, they call it the wall. You
Or
kind of hit a wall pretty much, and it's like, you know, what do you do? I know you said you kind of accept it and you walk over it, but what else can you do mentally to kind of see you through? And also, I suppose, before you start the race, what is it that you do to prepare, that knowing that you may even hit that wall?
yeah, my walk normally happens about 18 to 20 miles. Okay. And the most recent one that really hit me hard was when I was in Chicago. And okay, I accept the fact that I wasn't actually on my best that day. I was feeling a bit under the weather. Maybe I should not have run, because I felt really ill afterwards. So what happened was, just before, the night before, I was deciding, should I do it, should I not? I was doing the flat lay, like all runners do, and take a photo on Insta, put your shoes, put your, your running number and all that. And I was thinking, shall I do it? And I told myself, I've flown all the way to Chicago. And this is something that you have to throw your name in and to actually win a ballot in order to run. It's not as if I can come back next year and say, hey, I'm going to do it again, right? So, God, even if I cannot complete, even if it's so ill, I have to start, I at least have to give it a try. So that was what was going on in my mind, even though I wasn't feeling my best. But when it comes down to the realistic stuff, in practice, how do I prepare? I knew if I'm feeling ill, maybe my tummy will run a bit. So I have to take, is it Imodium beforehand to make sure that nothing flows, basically. Yeah. And I make sure I have electrolytes in my water as well, because I know that when I'm feeling rough, that will help me, because, we sweat a lot and lose that. And I always use professional gel. I don't use gel. I use these like gummy bear gel. So it's like you chew. I call it, actually, I forgot the name of the brand. That's how long I've not been using it. But these are energy chews. So you take them out. It's one chew literally gives you, like, because it's sugar rush, but it also has caffeine and that sort of thing. So I prepare that. I usually take 2 sticks, 6 of them, 6 chews each, and I put it in my pocket, or I have a bag, a waist bag to put on, charge my phone. What else do I do? I definitely have a hat, and I have a buff around my wrist so that I can, wipe away the sweat, because you get really sweaty and salty. Because when you start losing the salt, it makes you feel really uncomfortable, and sometimes get into your eye and becomes really stingy. So all these you got to prepare really carefully. And then it's all about I don't know about Emily, some people get it really badly. I get it badly because I'm pretty top heavy. So you need to do a lot of anti-chafing. Just everywhere you do, anti-chafing. And one last thing is, because I don't actually do well under the sun. I get burnt really easily. And that was a really fine day in Chicago. So I just have to spray 50 plus, these some prevention lotions on me. That was it, and off I went. But anyway, when I came to mile 20, what happened, it really hit me this time. And I ran so slow, it became a walk. And I got ill. And I was telling myself, shall I drop out? Shall I drop out? I mean, I've got just a few more miles to go, but, I was not feeling well. And then I saw this big tree right in front of me, and really felt like it was right in front of me. Although, of course, it's not, because I'm running on the road. It should be on the side. But I just thought, oh my God, I see the tree. Do you know what I did? I went up to the tree. I started hugging the tree. And I didn't care how long it took. It felt like hours I was resting against that tree. And I might have even fallen asleep. But that tree somehow gave me energy. The next moment I woke up, I thought, hey, I can do this. And I ran all the way to the finish line. And that was awesome. Yeah. So what did that tell me? That told me that when you have to take a rest, take a rest. But don't give up, because you're halfway there. I mean, I was more than halfway there. Yeah. So hopefully that share with you, give you a bit of inspiration.
Susan, I was just wondering, out of interest, when did you start sort of take up running? Has it always been a passion of yours, or when did you start? And then, a lot of people have that sort of desire to sort of take up running or take up things, but they never get around to it, or that, they always find excuses. So how did you sort of start, and how did you get to the point where you are now?
Okay. I think it all started at the end of 2016. So I was actually working out in a gym, and then and it was all, for some reason, there were a lot of girls. So we all created a great rapport. And then one of the girls suddenly say, hey, should we do something fun for Christmas? And let's do it for charity. And so we say, yeah, why not? What do you want to do? Do you want to do a drinking game? That was the first thing some of the girls said to, and I would think, hey, this is a gym, we should think healthily. And then there was another girl said, okay, let's do like a charity run, like a 5K. We can do that, surely. That wouldn't be hard. I had no idea what 5K meant, like how long it's going to be. 5K, 5 kilometers. Oh, sounds doable. And we had to dress up. So I think that year I dressed up as an elf. Yeah, and then with a lot of these the sound making things. So every time I'm around it could hit ding ding dong dong ding ding dong dong, just like Christmas tree. So I did that and actually survived. And actually my time wasn't bad. I think I did it in 31 minutes. So I thought, ooh, okay. This was in Watford, Castleberry Park. So, this is more of a trail run. If people don't know Watford, that park, it's very trail based, which means there's not much pavement, lots of tree leaves and tree barks on the floor, and there are hills up and down. So I thought, oh my God, for a 5K, hilly, well, sort of undulating kind of a 5K, it was not bad. So that was the first time I did it. And I did not tell anyone afterwards. I thought, okay, let's go for another race. Yeah, let's see it. So then my second race, I believe I did it with Race Through, and I did it at the Olympic Park. So we just ran around that structure, I don't know what you call it, the red thing, yeah? But just, they mapped out a 5K route all around the Olympic Park with the stadiums and all that in Stratford. And I did that. Again, I survived. I did not die. I was able to walk and speak afterwards. And that was when I realized, oh, actually, I can do this. So I quickly signed up with Run Through. So they do this annual package, and you can pay one fee and could do all their races. Their races are literally everywhere in London, all the parks, the Battersea Park, the Hyde Park, the Regent's Park, any park you can think of, and they do races every weekend. And that's how I started. Every weekend I was racing, but it all started with 5K. And then gradually, I think by the 6th month, I went into 10K. And that year, towards, I think, October, one of my friends who was following me on Facebook, because he asked runners to, you always post, a post race with your medal. So I was doing all that on Facebook and Insta. So one of my friends, a French friend, actually got hold of me, and she said, listen, I've got the space, half marathon race at the, it was the Royal Parks, okay, Royal Parks half, and it's happening in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time, okay. Bear in mind, I've never done a half marathon. I've already, the longest I've run was 10K. So I really needed someone to, to do it for me, because I can't do it anymore for some reason, and because this is a charity place. I've raised all the money. I just can't let them down. Somebody's gonna run on my behalf. And I'm thinking, should I? And I said yes. So the rest was history. I ran that race. The time I did, I think I did it in 3 hours, just over 3 hours. I was so tired. And literally by the end of it, I sat down under a tree in Hyde Park. I literally sat there for 1 hour. I could not move. And I'm thinking, God, I need someone to carry me home. I was so tired and I was so dead. Yeah. And I said, there's no way I'm going to do it again. And throughout all this time, I was cursing, as I was running, I was cursing. Why did I do that? I mean, all runners do it. No matter how many races you run, you're always cursing yourself, never again. But as soon as you cross that finish line, you're ready to sign up to another race. We all do it. Yeah. So after that hour of sitting on the tree, trying to reflect and say, this is such a silly thing. I should have never done it. I'm glad I survived. I did not die. Great. I'll never sign up again. That evening, I was already looking for my next half marathon. So what can I say? I'm hooked. Yeah. So that's the start. And everything just became half marathon, and then marathon became an ultra. And then I started looking abroad, and I tried to combine running with holidays. Yeah, I even took my girls to Paris when I ran the Paris Marathon, took them to Stockholm when I ran the marathon. It's awesome. Yeah.
Wow, it sounds amazing. I think, what the message I'm getting from you is just do it. Just sort of, like you said, you had 2 weeks to prepare for a half marathon. Yeah. And a lot of people think, oh, am I ready? Am I ready to do a 5K? Am I ready to do a 10K? And I think if you just sort of do it, then I guess you've got no choice.
Yeah. And just align your expectation. I never told myself, hey, I'm going to do it under 2-hour half marathon. Look, if I set that as, I'm like, I better train. You know, for example, if I ever wanted to go with Boston is the kind of marathon you can't just sign up. You have to meet the time, and according to your age. I think for my age, the time is probably for Boston, I don't know, 2-hour 59 or something ridiculous. I would never be able to reach that. I mean, maybe I should never say never, right? But if I train for it, if I lose weight, if I like get myself really, really fit, possibly. But is that my goal? No. Running doesn't give me that. Running makes me feel free. I just want to be able to move, to really show to myself and to show to my girls that if you put your mind at something, you can do it. I'm not chasing the time. I love the bling. Some of the blings, believe me, they were incredible. Okay, this is this race director based in the south of the river. I mean, he just does them amazing, massive blings as well. You know, I've got like a Thor hammer, and also I think a sword, almost like the Maserati sign, you know, the Aquaman sword, that sort of thing. So he turns that into medals. Would you believe it? So everybody chase after different things. For me, that's an incentive. I get my medal. And then eventually I become Hall of Fame, part of this global club called the 100 Marathon Club. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to ask you, would you say is the importance of setting goals and goal setting? And you mentioned it a few times, like you mentioned, like, you know, your little timer and things like that. So it seems like goal setting is really important to you, and it really helps you. So what would you say is the importance of setting, you know, short-term goals and long-term goals?
Yeah, I mean, it works for me. I don't know whether, I don't think it will work for everybody. Okay, so I would say take it with a pinch of salt and with caution. For me, I get very motivated when I compete. I'm just naturally a competitor. Whatever I do ever since I was little, you know, but I don't do it in a nasty way. When I compete, I encourage everyone to come in. But I love it. I love the feeling when I get somewhere, I win, you know, I actually achieve a medal. That's why I always set goals for myself, because I know if I reach that, I can pat on myself and think, hey, yeah, you've done it. And short goals are great if you had short tasks, but be careful, because these tasks should never distract you from your longer term goals. So say if my longer term goal is, let's go back to running. Okay, so my longer term goals is actually, I do want to achieve the 6-star world major marathon. Okay, so they are Berlin, Chicago, New York, London, London, Tokyo, and Boston. So far I've done London, I've done Berlin, I've done Chicago. I've yet to do New York, Tokyo, and Boston, right? So that's my long-term goal. Yeah. So what that means, I have to keep running. I have to keep running in order to be able to, especially for Boston, because, you know, as I grow older, the speed will go lower down, but I might not have the fitness to do it. Somehow I need to manage to get it done, maybe before the age of 55, because who knows, one day my knee might go. So that is a goal I need to keep working at. So whatever it is in the short-term goal, for example, somebody might ask, hey, Susan, you love a challenge, right? Let's go and do a Tough Mudder. I ain't gonna go and do it. I don't want to whack my knee, will I? Yeah, so I don't do obstacle courses, because I know that might whack my knee and make me invalid, and I will never, ever be able to reach my long-term goal. Once I reach my long-term goal, hell, I'm going to even go roll across the Atlantic, because that's my next goal. After 100 marathon, I'm going to roll across the Atlantic. Yeah, but I'm going to do it when my girls are all grown up, going to university. I've got nothing to worry about, because I think that's very dangerous, and you can really just go, yeah, like leave the world. Yeah, I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I've just got one more question. I know, like, from everything you've been saying, is pretty much, you know, if you just give it a go, and then you never know where it goes to. And also, you started off doing that 5K run as a, you know, a group of you got together and thought, oh, let's just do it for charity, and yeah, you did it for a worthy cause and so on. And then from there, you kind of got hooked. I suppose you found that enjoyment in there. And it's one of those things, you don't know if you're going to enjoy something until you try it. and it is about giving it a go and then taking it from there. But what I kind of wanted to ask you, just in terms of just going back to what you spoke about in the beginning, in terms of, you know, feeling burnt out, and, you know, at towards almost
Yeah,
towards
we're talking about burnt out, aren't we?
yeah, I suppose it's so relevant at the moment, but like, you know, you said you take a break, you get moving, how, you know, in terms of impact that it's had on your well-being, in terms of both physically and mentally, what have you found with that? Just what, from what you said, just getting up on the hour, using your well, you said Apple Watch, but we'll
Yeah,
use a Samsung watch here.
yeah, we've got all
So
sorts. Yeah.
yeah, so it's the same sort of thing. So, you know, in terms of how have you found that mentally and physically for yourself, and also in terms of you getting outside and doing, you know, like you said, you're on My Steps challenge, and you're moving and you're running and you're, you know, preparing for the marathons. How has that impacted both your physical and mental health as well?
Oh, I think physically, without a doubt, by doing these tiny bits of standing up, walking and running outside, just breathing in fresh air, I do feel personally I'm moving better. I get less aches. And I think that the most obvious thing is I have less headaches. Because I don't know about you guys. When I sat in front of the Zoom computer for too long, for a whole day, and I did that I did that yesterday as well, since the time of 6 o'clock in the morning, and I did not end until 9. I had like 1 hour literally in between. And I could feel at 9 o'clock, my head was just like pulsing. Yeah. So there's some sort of radiation going on here. So we need to get away. So physically, without a doubt. Mentally, I do find that I become less angry. I get less agitated, and it's very obvious because I see it from my kids, my girls. They say, "Mom, you're not shouting at us anymore. You know, you're shouting less." Okay, I mean, shouting is never too good, but when they're saying I'm shouting less, I feel like, you know, that's a step forward. I'm moving towards the positive side of me, and that's all because I'm taking the breaks that I should be taking. So I don't feel I'm so bogged down with one thing or with so much thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important, isn't it? Where it's having the awareness that, you know, your behaviors caused by like being burned out and exhausted can make you irritable. And I think that's, I mean, that goes for everybody, doesn't it, really? And it's having that self-awareness of, okay, this can affect my family, or like, you know, if I have children, like you've given the example of. And I think it's great that, you know, you've spoken a lot about it, that, you know, you're so like, you're passionate, you're enthusiastic, and, you know, you want to, there's all these different things that you really want to try. And but you've recognized what it is that you need to do in order to have the balance, you know, like in terms of your mind and your body, and that balance is helping, I suppose, not enhance relationships, like you said, you know, you've got a great family relationship anyway. But I think, you know, if we think about all of us, that if we are less irritable, it can enhance our friendships and relationships with the world, isn't it, and with other people. So it's a great point about, like, almost, you know, it's recognizing that your children are saying, oh, you know, you're actually shouting a little bit less, which is a real positive thing, because it means that the more we can recognize the tipping point, the better we can be at doing something about it. Yeah. Which I think, yeah, it's a great point and very helpful.
When you're less irritable or irritated, you have more of a control of yourself. Like when you know, when I feel like I'm just about to explode, yeah, either on the phone or, you know, talking to somebody, talking to my kids, or maybe just meet somebody doing nasty things on the road. You know, there was one time somebody was actually making a racist remark on the road. And I'm the kind of person, you know, I'm very friendly most of the time, but if you do something bad, say something awful, I will stand up for my own right. I'm that kind of person. I don't get bullied. I won't let you bully me. And I was all ready to retort. But then I snapped. I changed my mind. I think maybe that person is really having a really bad time. And then when I stepped away and think for a moment, I suddenly saw clearly this person. This person is actually an old lady. She's shorter than what we normally call an adult. and then the way she's walking, she's actually got this limp. So possibly she's got issues herself. Maybe she's not even mentally healthy. So why should I get angry at somebody like that? I'm much more fortunate than this person. So within a split second, I mean, that person's already long gone. She's gone, yeah. But all these thoughts are going through me, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm so glad I did not shout at her. I might have scared her, then she might have had a heart attack. I mean, that could have been something completely different. But because I got myself out of that, I changed the emotion within me. Then I stopped setting up something could be irreversible. Yeah, and I think it's all down to the fact that I was doing so much more about my mental health, my physical health. I was getting out there, you know, doing all these interventions to get me moving and healthy and decluttering my mind. Therefore, I had enough capacity in me to tell me, hey, stop for a second, do not shout. Yeah. Mm. I'm enjoying this silence. I think it's very calming.
Just, I mean, obviously we could probably still carry on talking, but in terms of, I suppose, I know you've kind of touched on so many different points and different aspects, and you know, things that you can do. But if for anyone watching, what 3 tips would you give just from your own experiences? What's worked for you? Your 3 top tips that can help anyone with their well-being or wellness, really, not just during this period, I guess, just generally as well.
I think take up one, either a sport or a hobby that you've never ever done before in your whole life. Just try something new, give it a go, and have to practice it for a whole month. You just dedicate yourself to it and see whether that will change your habit. So try something new and actually really commit to it for at least 30 days. Because we know, it takes 30 days to actually create a habit. Whether or not it sticks is another matter, but at least your body or your mind will get used to it. So I think that's the first and foremost thing. And secondly, I think very importantly is to reach out, get help. When you do feel like there's something, you just at the tipping point. This reach out might not be, go and get us someone like a counselor. Not necessarily. Just reach out to friends, talk to somebody, or join a group. Or get a mentor. Yeah, sometimes it's important. We all need a coach, a mentor. It's exactly like what I do. A lot of the kids that I actually mentor are so clever. They go to the best schools. They still come to me. And most of the time, what I tell them is common sense. It's not things that they haven't heard before. They all heard of it before, but hearing it from a third party, someone that you kind of respect, will actually get them to open up and listen in and actually take the action. So reach out to the external world. There's so many resources out there that can really help you. Yeah. And thirdly, it's just cut yourself some slack. I mean, I said it right at the beginning, we a lot of us are overachievers. We like to maximize our successes, and we are competitive. We want to be on top of the world, whether it's because of your own nature or it's because of peer pressure. It could be, either or both. But given the circumstance, having survived, we're all alive. I mean, that's something to celebrate. So just cut yourself some slack. Give yourself the benefit, the doubt that you are doing all right. Yeah. So just tap on your shoulder and say, cool, and carry on.
That's some great tips there. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing your experience and some of your tips that have helped you and what you've managed to do and get through, or what's helped you to get through this period, and just generally in your life as well. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on, and we'll be sharing out the video on our channels.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation, this chat with you ladies. It's been fun.